we all knew that Nesbitt was going to be a guy that, like, you came out of the draft kind of wondering, was that the right pick for the Flyers? How are the fans going to react to him? And I do want to just take a second here, because some of you know I like to pat myself on the back when I'm right. Now, in this case, I was slightly wrong, but I did manifest something, right? I have been saying on this show, and Snow the Goalie, but I've been saying on this show for like going on 2 months that Roger McQueen was going to fall into the early teens, and Danny Briere has to go big balls, Danny, and he's got to put the assets together and move up from 22 to like 12 or 13. Like, I swear I have been saying that for 2 months. It might even be longer, right? And so you get to draft night. They get Martone, and then, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then as things are kind of unfolding, I'm like, yo, McQueen's falling. How far is he going to fall? Now, we had Mark Gregg, who's one of the Flyers scouts, on that show as well, where he kind of gave like the wink and the nudge that like Martone could be the guy. But then also said that, you know, like the hypothetically, I said, like, we won't attach McQueen's name to it, but a guy who, like, could have been a number 1 overall pick or something, and you have the back issues and injuries, and he's like, well, you know, you could slide a few spots, but he kind of gave the impression, like, a guy of that talent isn't going to fall to, like, 16, right? So McQueen goes to Anaheim at 10, which was essentially the equivalent of, like, last year when the Canadiens had Celine Dion come out and announce Ivan Demidov. Like, it gutted me, right? Because I was out on a date, on vacation with my wife at our favorite burger place in the Outer Banks, and I see Celine Dion come out, and I know that the Habs really were pissed off they missed out on Mishkov, and I knew they were going to take Demidov, and I was like, please don't make me hate Celine Dion. I love Celine Dion. Don't make me hate her. And I still don't hate her, but it did upset me. And so I was like, well, of course, Anaheim is going to have to take McQueen, and they did. So I was sad, because there goes your 6'5" center. And then the Flyers trade up. They make that trade where it was a pick from the Rangers to the Penguins and then to the Flyers at 12. And they get a 6'5" center. So while I wasn't exactly right about McQueen, they did end up with a young 6'5" center, which proves that, like, my manifesting these things into the universe sometimes is a little bit off. But I would say 6'5" center is still a 6'5" center. I haven't watched a lot of film on Nesbitt, but I can tell you that this dude won a lot of people over almost immediately because he came on the Snow the Goalie Draft Day show. And I just want you to hear, in case you somehow missed it, I want you to hear what Nesbitt had to say about what he did know about Philadelphia and about being a Philadelphia Flyer.
But Philadelphia is the better Pennsylvania team out of them in Pittsburgh, so I'm super excited about that. But no, that's really all.
So he said the Flyers. Philadelphia is the better Pennsylvania team. Now, did he say that because Pittsburgh gave the pick away and came to the Flyers? Listen, that's almost like the Bryce Harper school of pandering, and you have to love it. And here's the thing about Nesbitt. A lot of people got in their feelings. A lot of people got worked up.
He was projected to be in the 20s.
I saw people say that, like, they had him in their 30s on their own big boards. And I was like, listen, I mean this respectfully, right? Some people overvalue their own input into where they rank players. Some people will watch a little bit of film on a player, and then they will still essentially try to sell themselves as a draft expert. You guys know I do not do that. I'm not sitting down watching Jack Nesbitt all season. I was not sitting down watching Porter Martone every game. So I'm not going to tell you that, like, I had some great idea or some kind of, like, otherworldly insight. What I do know is he's a huge body. And what the Flyers came out and said after the fact is that they were pretty confident that he could have gone at 13 or 15. And so while I think it was it Pierre LeBrun or was Bob McKenzie, one of them had Nesbitt at like number 15 or 16 in their final draft guide. And I was like, okay, just take a second here. Like, let's try to be a little bit rational. If Jack Nesbitt was like the 15th or 16th best player on a highly respected pundits list, right? And you traded up from 22 to 12 to get him, all right, you've technically taken him like 3 or 4 spots earlier than the pundit. But you have to keep in mind that McQueen was off the board, and if you wanted size at center, Nesbitt was your next best option. And if there were going to be other teams that could have taken him, obviously prior to you at 22, and maybe you couldn't get up to 14 or you couldn't get up to 13, and so you end up making a deal, oddly enough, with Pittsburgh, all right, it might look like you reached a little bit, but by like 3 or 4 spots. Now, if you want to go to somebody else's big board that said, oh, he was the 24th best player, and now you've drafted him, 12 spots earlier, all right, you can get worked up about it. But before you crush the Jack Nesbitt pick, ask yourself one question. Did I watch any Jack Nesbitt games this season? Before you trash the pick, although many people already have, before you in earnest continue to trash the pick, ask yourself the question, did I watch film on Jack Nesbitt? Or did I just watch some YouTube clips? Or did I just watch some highlights on Twitter and decide that I didn't like the pick? Or did I see a few highlights, look at a couple of mock drafts, see that they seem to agree in some way that 12 was a little bit higher than expected, and just formulate your opinion based on the opinions of others? Chances are many Flyers fans who openly, very boldly decried, oh, what a horrible pick. I almost guarantee you none of those people have watched Jack Nesbitt play. Again, I haven't either. But I'm going to be open to it. I'm going to be open to the idea. And by the way, they were like, oh,
Well, Jack Nesbitt, he might only ever become a 2C.
good, that's fine. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's not a 1C in the system right now. At number 12, you're certainly not guaranteed to get a 1C any season. A 2C, if he's like a legit 2C, almost like a 1A or like a 2+, right? That's a pretty damn good value at 12. And by the way, I would argue it is still significantly better value than what you probably would have gotten at 22 and 31. Now that could change, right? Maybe the Flyers could have gotten better value at 22 and 31. But I'm very much of the opinion that you get the opportunity to take 2 swings on players in the top 12 of a draft. I'd rather that than you kind of taking a flyer on somebody, especially at 31, and then very hit or miss at 22. Claude Giroux was there. Yeah, I get it. There are anomalies that are drafted in the 20s that turn out to be exceptional players. I would call Giroux an exceptional player, especially given what he was surrounded with. And I know that I triggered a lot of the people with the Giroux pillows last night when I just pointed out that he re-signed with Ottawa and you're not going to win a cup there. And put the family first. I can't blame him for putting family first. But you're not going to win a cup there. It's okay. But if you can find somebody at 22 who ends up leading many of your franchise's all-time stats and will probably be certainly will be inducted into your team's Hall of Fame and maybe has an outside shot at making the actual Hall of Fame, that's great value at 20 or 22. It's certainly not far from a guarantee that that's going to happen. So I thought the Nesbitt pick was okay. It didn't blow my socks off. It didn't make me lose my ever-loving mind. Some people, I think, got a little bit too worked up in the moment and didn't have a whole lot to go on themselves. We'll see what he looks like at Dev Camp, where I believe Snow the Goalie will be. I believe that we're going to have some more of these people on. We talked to Nesbitt for a few minutes on draft night. We talked to Martone for a few minutes on draft night. I think we'll be talking to a few more of those people, so you have to stay tuned over there. That was a good pick. All things considered, I'm here for it.